Shalom, party people. Welcome to the Refuge Report, a live stream brought to you here from the Refuge HQ, the headquarters of Refuge Medical, Refuge Training, and Refuge Industries, where we talk to you, the absolute awesome people of Refuge Nation. We love you. We cherish you. We're huge fans of everything you guys are about in the supporting of preparedness, in the supporting of being active participants in saving lives, and, you know, just being the hands and feet of the Most High. We've got some really interesting reports from all over the spectrum today, coming in the health and wellness spectrum, and domestic violence and domestic unrest, global and geo-conflict, as well as some stuff on the U.S. economy. But as always, I want to start out with you guys. Let us know in the chat how you're doing. Is there any questions that you may have? We want to answer them the best that we can throughout the chat. You saw at the very beginning a little slide that talked about the Refuge Responder giveaway. Obviously, the show is brought to you by the wonderful company Refuge Medical. They're doing a large giveaway right now to anybody who spends, what is it, $250? $250, you get entered in to win a fully paid setup for a essential responder and a night responder, which is like basically a 3-day training course that takes you through a civilian kind of watered down version of a TCCC course, as well as you get a full night scenario SHTF style with professionals from law enforcement, professionals from the special operations community, survivalist professionals all over the spectrum to give you guys the ability to train with what you have, to use your tools inside real world scenarios, to just see how you would do. It's great for team building, it's great for kit testing, it's great for mental testing and fortitude building, all these things. So if you're interested in that right now, for the entirety of the live stream, we have a promotion. We're doing 15% off all the black multicam bare minimums and bare facts. So if you've been looking at the black multicam, a lot of you guys have. We were looking at our analytics. Now's the time. Go ahead and use the code LIVE, L-I-V-E. Use the code LIVE, you get 15% off. Those of you who know, we don't really do discounts on specialty camos like this, but because we're doing the night responder, because of all this awesome stuff, it's Goon Month, and so we wanted to get you guys the opportunity to get in some black multicam, some cool guy camo, at a little bit cheaper price. It also helps, we got the sew shop here under the roof, and so they can all punch me in the face later for, trying to give away their stuff for a cheaper rate. So what do we got here in the comment section? Kind of blurry, said Scuba. Little fuzzy. Okay, they're working on it right now. We got a new setup, so they're testing it. They're trying to make it better. Last week was basically our soft run. This is another soft run here. And we're trying to make it better every day. It seems like the camera's having a little bit of problem auto-focusing.
I think we have a setting issue to work on.
Brandon said, I have a black multicam adventure bag. I scored off a live giveaway, now a range bag. Awesome, bro. I'm glad you use it. I hope that it's going pretty well. Goon it. Yeah, absolutely. I bought my wifey a new gun. Maybe she will buy me a new med kit. Yeah, Mr. Greblin, if you grab it right now, you get that 15% off, and then you'll also get entered into the giveaway, which is pretty cool. So go and grab that stuff now. We're actively working in the store to make hemostatics available to you guys once more. We should have a solution for that by the end of day. So be looking out for that. We definitely want to give you guys access to hemostatics because it is an awesome tool. Nobody punches my bro. Actually, Striker Cade, you saying that makes me feel confident because you are a terrifyingly huge individual. Striker Cade is gigantic. Screen's black. There you go.
It went back.
You got to hydrate, guys. It's getting to be summer here in Oklahoma, where Refuge is based out of, so it is like 1 billion degrees out, and we're not even in the hottest of the months just yet. Still rocking the Adventure 2.0. Awesome. Stacks Farmstead, what's up? How you doing? Midnight Marpat is better. I am a fan of the Midnight Marpat myself. What else we got here? Shout out to everybody who was here before the live stream in the chat. Next week, if you're here a little bit early, we'll be doing some fun stuff in the chat, maybe some giveaways. Who knows? Who knows? You guys got to be here ready to go for the live stream. So without further ado, let's get into it. So coming to you in the U.S. economy sector, right? This just came across my desk. So this is coming from Premium Reports. which is coming directly from the Epoch Times. Why nearly half of the U.S. online job postings are fake. Recruitment professionals and victims of ghost postings say the practice hurts everyone, including the companies that create them. Amid complex hiring processes, a shadow is spreading in the American business world. Companies are using fake online job openings to project an image of growth, to keep existing employees motivated, and to cultivate a pool of possible future candidates with no intention of hiring, according to research. The practice is commonly known as ghost posting, and it's account for 43% of the online job openings across multiple industries. Now, why is this so important? Why should you pay attention to this? Because when you see statistics saying that there's large job growth, that there's new employment opportunities spreading across the country, understand the 43% of the postings that you're seeing online, that you're seeing on Indeed, or that companies are creating themselves, right? Listings for new jobs. They're not actually real. They have no intention of hiring. And so what this is doing is this is basically, it's propositioning itself as though the economy is doing very well, that these businesses are successful, that they're in a place of growth, but that's not the case whatsoever. Majority of businesses right now are actually struggling. The debt bubble is crushing to a lot of our industries right now, especially the auto industry, the credit card industry, and the banking industry as a whole. They're very much struggling. I don't know if anybody here has tried to get a mortgage recently, but it's very challenging. And so this is something that we should be aware of as we're inside of our own, prospective realms, our own prospective industries. If you see your companies posting a bunch of new jobs, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're making new hires. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are expanding. It doesn't even necessarily mean that your job is safe. What it does mean is that for some reason, the companies that are out there, 43% of the postings right now are trying to project a position of strength rather than be honest where we are right now. The phenomenon has caused a universal frustration on both the applicant and the hiring side. On average, it can take up to 8 weeks for a job seeker to receive an offer after submitting an online application, according to the job listing Indeed. The process often includes resume tailoring, lengthy applications, multiple rounds of interviews, and that means applicants are wasting hours trying to get hired by companies that aren't actually looking. Imagine going through the interview process only to not be offered a job. Imagine, that you are trying to find a job and you're 8 weeks into this, you've redone your resume 65 times, you've done 100 different interviews, and all that to say, the company never had intention of hiring you. So this is something that we should be tracking on right now. Especially with the current inflationary rate, projected north of 50% right now across the board, which is absolutely insane. If we see these numbers, and now we see a big sign of stress on the American business, right? So U.S. online job postings are fake, or at least a large majority of them. If you guys have experienced searching out jobs recently, and you've experienced maybe some of these ghost postings, put it in the comments section below. We're really curious to hear what your guys' experiences are inside of this current economy, because it lets us make more informed decisions, as well as it might be a little bit of consolation to somebody else in the chat who's struggling currently also, right? So if you've struggled with trying to find a job in these current times, throw in the chat below what your experience has been in the live chat, and we'll read it off, because this is definitely rather interesting stuff. My large Fortune 500 company laid off 3 to 5% globally in the last month. 3 to 5%, that's a huge number, right? That's an absolutely huge number. And we got to understand that, you got to pay attention to this, because when companies start shrinking like this, that's when we're going to start to see quality assurance and quality control go out the window, customer service go out the window, as well as all the way down to fulfillment and shipping, right? The first thing to go, or the last thing to go, is standardly the sales department. That's where they're trying to make money. My company is hiring like crazy right now, but people don't want to work outside on a boat doing manual labor. Yeah, that makes complete sense. People don't want to work in general. People want to sit at home and type on a computer all day after doing 75 nicotine pouches and 12 cups of coffee.
Some of us need a lot of caffeine. Okay, Bob?
Hey,
I'm just kidding.
I'm
not that person.
I've actually cut my caffeine content quite a bit. And my wife's got a new regimen for me. I do a raw milk protein shake, some espresso with raw milk, and local honey. And that's my morning routine. That's what works for me, and it keeps me doing good. Are you going to do another bottle run? We actually have talked about it. So if you guys would want another Nalgene bottle, or if that's something you're interested in, put it in the comment section below. You have them in stock? We have them in stock right now, Jason. So get on it. You're good to go. Get them bottles, bruh. What else do we got here? Question, I joined Patreon to ask a question, but the only question section I found says locked. Will it unlock after the money hits?
I told him to email admin at Bear.
Yeah, that's an admin at Bear Independent Side question. That's not an us. Refuge Medical doesn't currently have a Patreon, although we do have some really cool stuff in the works.
Quit, okay?
I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to tell you that there are some really cool, maybe subscription training options coming up.
He always says he's not going to do it, and then he just like says 50% of what we're doing.
What are you doing over there? Starting a fight with a table?
Bo
Ladies and gentlemen, Faux Daddy. Yeah, we're live on the internet over here. Without a doubt. My current job started in the Depression in 1929. Job I accepted yesterday as an aviation tech is hiring in multiple position and shifts. New employer kept everyone on during tough times. Big factor for me. Yeah, absolutely. We should all be looking at who we're working for right now, not just what we're doing. If you're working for a company that thinks you are disposable as a person, that's a pretty trying thing, especially as we enter into further economic stressors, right? So as we see stuff really struggling inside of this economy, whether it be through inflation, whether it be through a lack of resources or a lack of a willing workforce, what you don't want is a employer that's just thinking that they might be able to throw you away. That's not what we're looking for.
So
right?
Lone Star, you live in Texas, and Texas has its own economy.
Yeah.
So
I'm not seeing it. My company just hired 2 new managers and 4 new mid-level staff, plus there's several entry-level positions open. Yeah, absolutely, Lone Star. Texas makes up a large majority of our GDP as a country. And Texas is basically its own country. And a lot of people don't understand how large the economy is inside of Texas, as well as how independently they operate a lot of times. So Texas is also seeing a large amount of growth because of the influx from neighboring, more left-leaning, communist-leaning states. People are fleeing those states, and the tax restrictions and the legal restrictions to move to Texas. And jokes on
their money,
and they're bringing all their money.
Our housing market,
and they're killing the housing market. $200,000 houses in Texas are going for $600,000, and that's just because they can, because the housing market is that hot.
Growing up and you could get like a nice house for like $150,000. Nice house.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Current job is 95% sit at home, office, desk like now. New job will be 12-hour days, standing and wrenching. Looking forward to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you must be in a good industry though. I'm sure that not every, we've already heard someone else say that their company just laid off 3 to 5%. So I'm sure it's not an across the board. It's probably industry based.
Yeah, definitely could be.
And it's an election year, and things are always weird in an election year.
Oh man, they're so spicy. Autumn commented, I'm coming to the Surviving Womanhood class. Any recommendations on motels or camping? Worcester Lake is a great place to camp. It's very beautiful, very scenic, very peaceful. There's also a lot of good hotels inside of Fort Smith. Just do a little bit of travel research, little clickety-clack, Google foo, and that should be able to help you out there. All right, continuing on, we're going to save the global conflict and the domestic violence. We'll move on to health and wellness. We got 2 interesting stories here. The first one is a little bit of a nice story, which I like.
Yeah, it was like a feel-good.
It was
a feel-good / like, oh, that really sucks. Because you'll find out.
All right, so people near death from TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, may still revive. Advanced imaging can detect covert consciousness, offering hope for seemingly hopeless cases, experts say. When doctors advised pulling the plug on a comatose 22-year-old after a car crash, his mother sought a lifeline from the Brain Rehabilitation and Injury Network, or BRAIN. For weeks, the advocacy group's founder, Sue Reb, sat vigil with the unresponsive young man, reading to him for about 2 weeks. All we need, sir, she said to one of the neurologists, is time. In hospitals nationwide, a final prognosis is delivered 72 hours after a severe traumatic brain injury. A mere blink in a race against time that new research warns may be cut short too quickly. New evidence suggests some patients can defy the odds and recover consciousness, even in cases of severe TBI, if only given more time. Study calls for a cautionary approach in decisions to remove life support. A recent study published by the Journal of Neurotrauma investigated the potential for survival and regaining independence among acute TBI patients who died after the withdrawal of life-sustaining equipment. The researchers enrolled over 3,000 TBI patients from 18 trauma centers across the United States between 2014 and 2021. All the participants were enrolled within 24 hours of sustaining their brain injuries, and approximately half were followed for 1 year. Out of those patients, 90 died after having life support removed. So
I had 3,000.
3,000. 90 died, right? Now, and this is after a year. So how many people have had life support removed from them preemptively because of resource management, because of cost allocation, or whatever reason it may be, or just a lack of information, and we could have potentially saved those lives. The researchers then matched these 90 cases with similar participants who had not had life-sustaining treatment withdrawn. While many of those who kept on life support eventually died, especially older patients and those with more severe injuries, more than 30% of the matched patients were able to recover and achieve some level of independence within 6 months. At least half of the younger patients with less severe brain injuries regained independence, with some even being able to resume their normal lives. Our findings support a more cautious approach to making early decisions on withdrawal of life support. Yelena Bodine from the Department of Neurology, Center for Neurotechnology and Neurorecovery at Massachusetts General Hospital, and a study and co-authors said in the press release. TBI is a complex condition. A TBI occurs when an external force, such as a blow to the head from a fall, vehicle accident, assault, or another trauma, alters the brain function. While TBIs are classified as mild, moderate, or severe, many in the medical community find these categories oversimplified for such a complex condition. Dr. Brent Massel, medical director for the Brain Injury Association of America and not associated with the study, told Epoch Times. A significant number of TBI survivors develop long-term issues. He added, the World Health Organization, the WHO, defines TBI as a chronic disease process. Potential complications include increased risk of seizures, sleep disorders, neurodegenerative diseases, neuroendocrine problems, psychiatric issues, sexual dysfunction, incontinence, and metabolic dysregulation persisting for months and or years. Life expectancy can also be significantly reduced by approximately 7 years for the moderate to severe TBI cases. Outcomes can vary from person to person, and data, which has been published by the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, shows that that brain injury is a dynamic process, with many people improving or getting worse. So what does this all mean for us, the end user, the average American? It means that modern medicine is doing what modern medicine should do in this case. We are not making preemptive cost-driven decisions, or we're attempting not to currently in the matter of TBI. So many times over the past 5 years, we've seen a lot of decisions made off of profit. We've seen a lot of decisions made off of convenience. Well, it is inconvenient and it is not profitable, especially for the patient itself, to be on life-supporting or life-sustaining equipment, as well as having those resources allocated to them surrounding it, the nursing staff, the medications, and all that, for an extended period of time. But what we are seeing is 30% of the time, we're seeing a complete turnaround. Well, 30% of 3,000 is 1,000 people roughly. So, and that's just one case study, right? And so what we need to do is we need to continue to support case studies like this. And this is good information for us because in such a time where so many people are struggling to trust the industrial medical complex, we should see this as a beacon of hope, especially with anybody who has prior military or prior service history. TBI is a very, very popular, very, very problematic issue that isn't addressed as it should, and it kind of has a bane and a scorn around it. It's a dirty word that you don't want to say inside of your service career, because you get put on the bench almost immediately because there is so many psychoactive issues around it. The psychiatric consequences can be huge behind a TBI because you have endocrine disrupting issues, you have nervous system issues, and all these different things, whereas a lot of time they needed healing, they needed homeopathic remedies, they needed good rest, and now it seems as though the health industry is starting to point towards that. So we should all rally behind stuff like that because it is good news inside of a very struggling medical kind of facility and industry right now. What do you got, Lauren?
Cowgirl in Arizona was saying that lion's mane mushrooms is really good for trauma in the brain.
Yeah, I've heard that from multiple times. A couple of good friends of mine actually have mentioned that.
She's starting a gardening company. She's doing sprouts and mushrooms, but she said not the edible kind, not the not those kind.
Not those kind.
Yeah.
Not those types of edibles. The other type of it, like what you would eat for food and nutrient and medicinal, but not that type of medicinal. You dang stoners. No, I'm joking. Anyways, moving on. What do we got? Yes, gourmet mushrooms, not magic ones. Absolutely.
Gross. What? Cowgirl in Arizona just said, just saw Doug and Stacy video. There is something in Pepsi products that they're finding in blood.
There's some weird stuff in Pepsi products as a whole, and we are not going to go into that in this newscast.
It's not on the table.
It's not on the table. I got a lot of stories on the table right now, and I like to keep this YouTube channel.
Actually, could I say something really quick, though?
Justin Winch said, I had 3 different friends get medically retired from TBI issues. Yeah, what a shame. What a shame. And then standardly, they're not getting the care that they very much deserve from the VA. And so it's definitely a struggle inside of the service right now. And it's something that we should, like I said, rally behind, see this as a beacon of hope as we continue in this science. What do you got, Lauren?
So if you guys have or come across a news story that you feel like everybody should know about, send it into media@refugemedical.com so I can put it on the list of things for us to talk about.
Yep.
That'd be super helpful.
Yeah, and don't forget to share the newscast out. This is the only place where you can get so many different resources to you, whether it be the discounts, the free training, whether it's the teaching videos, whatever it is. You know, we're one of a kind here, and we do this for you. It's not cost effective to do this stuff. It takes away resources where we could be, trying to sell to foreign governments that don't have our best interests. But we really want to support the everyday American. We really want to give you guys content and information and access to equipment that will save lives, that will prevent death, that will help people be better, stronger, more resilient, more self-sustaining, and prepared. And with that, don't forget, right now, code LIVE, L-I-V-E, all you got to do is type it in. You get 15% off a bare minimum, as well as you can in black multicam. And then you also can do it for the bare FAC in black multicam as well. So it's the month of Goon. Black multicam is what all the cool kids wear. It also looks really good in your vehicle. We have a couple of black multicam kits that are mounted inside of our company truck. And it's clean, man. It looks really, really good. So it complements really well. It's not just a functional camo. It's also a cool camo, which I really like.
2 things. Upstate 717 asked if you were doing Bible study tonight.
I am doing Bible study tonight.
And then secondly, DL Hemingway said, what's the best way to replace electrolytes when I rehydrate and don't have a sports drink?
I would recommend don't use a sports drink, first of all, because of the sugars and dyes in them. I would recommend doing some sort of hydration salt or a mineral mix or something to that regard. That's going to help you get going really quick. We sell the oral rehydration salts, I believe, in both standard flavor and maybe lemon too, or maybe we just do the lemon for the birth bucket. I can't remember.
It's lemon in the birth bucket.
It's lemon in the birth bucket. But those are awesome. Yeah, you're going to drink some salt water, but your brain is going to feel awesome after you do it. Because what a lot of people don't realize is when you get dehydrated and you get this headache, right, what's happening is your brain is deprived of fluid, and so it starts shrinking up and pulling at the tissue, which is why you get like this hypertension headache. And I don't know if you guys know this, there's a ton of fluid up there. So there's just like putting fluid in your body can have a near immediate relief sensation as well as start to help. Now remember guys, we're using the water today that we drank yesterday. So if you didn't drink no dang water yesterday, you can thank yourself today because that's what you're going through. And so it is harder to catch back up. It's easier to maintain. So you got to be maintaining right now, especially as we go into these hot months. Grab some rehydration salts. They're super cheap. And what I recommend you do is just like put a little bit in every water and like give your water a little flavor, you know? It's not hard to do. This isn't rocket science. People have been, we have really bad access to like good water. Most people aren't on clean wells. Most people are on some sort of city or rural or municipal water. It's rolling through a ton of different chemicals, the fluoride, and chlorine and all these different chemicals, as well as it's running through disgusting pipes. And so if you're not filtering that water and then adding back some sort of mineral base, you're selling yourself short on what you could get from nutrient-dense water. So I recommend you do a little bit of research into that. Grab some rehydration salts. Grab a freaking Nalgene bottle so that way you can measure how much water you're getting throughout the day. It's basic human stuff to measure how much water you're having a day. It's like basic stuff. Like if you care about fitness or you care about like, you know, personal capability, physical capability, and you're not tracking at least how much water you put into your body, which is like one of the 3 things you need to live: food, water, air. Like, I don't know what you're doing, right? Like, obviously, I mean, I pay attention to like my heart rate, my SpO2. I don't do it every single day, but I do pay attention to that just like in being physically aware, because I want to be able to breathe well. But water I track, you know, calories I track, and that's just really, really easy stuff to do. So grab Nalgene water, be able to track your intake, as well as you can then track how much salt you're getting too, which is really good.
If you are stuck in a situation where you don't have rehydration salts or, you know, access to anything like that, do a pinch of pink salt into your water.
Yeah, or
Even
the
that will
Redmond
help.
salt.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little Redmond salt will go a long way, and it's mineral rich, guys. That's the whole game. And
Probably, I don't know that your table salt, like your...
usually it's not. It's not very good.
It's like you want to get a good, like a Celtic salt
real,
is really good.
Real salt.
Well, that's why Redmond salt is so good, is because it's actually dense with multiple minerals.
Still has the minerals in it. Is it Celtic or Celt? It's Celtic.
It's Celtic.
Right?
It's not Celtic.
Yeah, that sounds weird.
Tough crowd.
It that one, the one I get at least, it's like it's almost damp still. It's not dry. You know what I mean? It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's like in flakes.
All right. What else we got here? Or just push some fluids. Yeah, absolutely. Or just start an IV.
If you have a medic mic around, you can just be like, Mike.
I absolutely did that after the ruckus. I was up all night the night before the ruckus, training, doing TACMED at night, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, sweating like crazy. Then the next morning I got up and did a weighted 10K. And after that, I was like, you know what? I can feel my body getting dehydrated, and I all the way run a medical company. So, hey, Mike, come start an IV on me, please. So I gave him a bag, and I was like, hey, buddy, help me out. He's like, this is so cool that we're just doing this. I was like, yeah, dude, this is what we do here. It's the cool stuff. Not bath salts, guys. Don't do bath salts. Bath salts bad. That you'll turn into a zombie, and then you'll end up on the newscast. So, you know, you got to weigh those options. What time is your Bible study, Bob? I found the channel yesterday. Oh, cool. We usually go 7 to 7:30 is when we start. It depends on the state of my children and how much I got to help my wife at that time, because we have little young kids and it's react to contact constantly. LMNT makes good stuff, just a little pricey compared to Trioral, which is now packaged in China. Yeah. Absolutely. LMNT does make some good stuff. And like we just said, I'd recommend going even the more natural route. Get some Redmond salt, get some Celtic sea salt or something like that. Continuing on in our newscast, don't forget, guys, 15% off, and it gets you entered in to win the responder giveaway. So you get $2,000 worth of training for free. It's a pretty big deal. And you get to train with some really cool people. We have some really cool cadre coming. So, government health officials misled about risky Mpox research, House panel finds. Well, that never happens. That can't be right. Government officials falsely said an experiment that would place genes from one Mpox, we're not going to say what it is, strain into another strain was never proposed or approved, according to an investigation from a U.S. House of Representatives panel. Dr. Bernard Moss, a longtime scientist with the National Institute of Health, the NIH, a totally trustworthy organization, and the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, the NIAID is also a super trustworthy organization, told a magazine in 2022 that he planned to take genes from the highly virulent clade 1 Mpox.
Virulent?
I can't, I'm sorry.
No, that's just a weird word.
It is. Viral, it's high virology. I didn't write this, okay? So somebody else did. And place them into a less virulent but more transmissible strain as part of ongoing testing in mice and other small animals. Why? Why are we funding this? Why are our tax dollars paying for this? This makes no sense. Stop doing weird stuff. This is witchcraft. Stop it. Settle down. Anyways, the House for Energy and Commerce Committee requested more information from the government expressing concern with the proposal. Dr. Moss and other officials with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the NIH's parent agency repeatedly told members that the experiment was never formally proposed or approved. So they're just doing stuff. This study has not been formally proposed, and the NIAID has no plans to move forward with this research. Melanie Egrin, the Department Assistant Secretary for Legislation, said in a letter in April of 23. Dr. Moss said in prepared remarks to the committee in a closed-door meeting later that year that he was focused on transferring genes from clade 2, the less virulent strain, into clade 1 and had not performed any experiments, swapping genes from clade 1 into clade 2. I've not planned or proposed such experiments for approval since we have not completed the current experiments and therefore do not know yet which genes might be best to transfer. But members found, after threatening subpoenas, that the NIH's Institutional Biosafety Committee in 2015 reviewed a proposal from Dr. Moss for the experiment and approved it. The members reviewed the documents in camera because government officials said making the records public could carry biosafety risk.
Okay, wait, just hear me out. If you're a scientist, you're like, maybe I should take this virus that's like super horrible and like mix it with this other super horrible virus just to see what happens.
Just to see.
Like,
Let's just see. Let's just see what's going on.
I mean, what's going to happen? I'm so interested. And then they're like standing in the same room with it. No.
And remember, this was never approved. This was never approved. This is never approved.
This never happened.
Behind a closed door. I'm sure this has never happened before either with other invents, right? Behind a closed door, the National Institute of Health approved this in 2015. That's 5 years before the old Mexican beer virus. The approval for the experiment was in place until 2023 of May, when it was revoked by the NIH about 7 months after the committee started expressing concern. So somebody tipped them off, they revoked it. The work was funded under a grant on which Dr. Moss is listed as the principal investigator, according to the panel. The publicly available information on the grant does not describe the experiment. Shocker. Ms. Egren later reversed her previous stance, writing recently in a follow-up letter released by the panel that research involving biodirectional transfer of genes between clades 1 and 2 of the MPXV was considered and approved. MPXV is an acronym for the Mpox virus, or Mpox. Again, I'm not going to say it on here because I don't want to get shut down. Soon, Mpox will be shut down anyways. GOP panel members said that the pattern of obstruction and misrepresentation displayed by the government official means the officials either deliberately misled members or were fed false information themselves by other government employees. Because NIAID personnel have firsthand knowledge of the experiment and related issues, officials likely relied on NIAID staff and the primary responsibility for misleading the panel most likely lies within the NIAID. Spokespersons for the NIAID, the NIH, and the Department of Health and Human Services did not return requests for comment. Huh. That's weird. That's so unlike them.
They're probably just busy.
They got a lot going on. They're mixing bats with monkeys. It's fine. Everything's great. Everything's totally going to be good. So Dr. Stephen Holland, director of the Division of Intramural Research at the NIAID, said that in prepared remarks in 2023 in the closed-door meeting with legislators that Dr. Moss has not at any point pursued transferring genes from the more virulent strain into the less virulent strain, nor has he made specific plans to do so. How are these guys continuing to lie inside of congressional hearings? Government officials, while acknowledging they previously offered false information, maintain the experiment was never conducted, but have not produced records supporting that claim, according to the report. Absent production of sufficient corroborating documentation, it is reasonable for the committee to infer that assertions that the experiment was never conducted are inaccurate in light of the HHS's past misrepresentations that the risky experiment was never formally proposed or approved. They lied, and it seems as though they did it. Now, why does this matter? We can continue to go on to the he said, she said reporting of this. We can have a conversation about it. They said that they were going to release something. It's very, very virulent. They said that they needed pestilence to happen for, what was the words they used inside of the global summit, the G20? What was Klaus's words? Depopulation?
Oh, yeah, mass depopulation.
Yeah, mass depopulation.
They're trying to take the world population down from, we're sitting at approximately 8 billion worldwide, down to half.
Yeah, 4 billion, 50%.
Well, their own words was, this has to happen in the U.S. specifically first.
Yes.
And then
has to start there and then pour out.
Right.
So when you see very virulent strains of diseases inside of primates, of which we have genetic similarities, it's very concerning. And it should be concerning to you. It should be concerning to us. A lot of people are concerned about the bird flu right now, the avian virus. Keep your eyes on this as well. This is a great time to mention the fact that, we have a partnership with Jace Medical. And so you can reach out to Jace Medical and you can have prescription antibiotics, steroids, and other medications as well stored up for yourself and for your family. If you're not doing that actively, you should. What do you got?
Well, this is not just about medical. It's very wise to be prepared.
Yes, it is very wise to be prepared. 100%.
However, if Paul can shake off a snake bite,
don't be in fear.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, remember who you serve, right?
Just to reiterate, this is not fear-mongering.
No. This is information, guys. We're supposed to be wise as serpents and gentle as doves. And being wise as a serpent knowing how a snake moves and knowing how a snake operates. That doesn't mean that you have to operate that way. And it definitely doesn't mean that you have to be afraid of a snake, because remember, the Father can use all things for good. He had Moses put the snake on the staff for Israel to look upon, believe, and be healed, right? And so just because Hasatan wants to use something for bad, the Father can use all things for good in his glory, right? And so we're not in fear here. I ain't afraid of no ghost. But this is information for you to have your ducks in a row. Be prepared. Be vigilant. The wise man seeth evil and hideth himself, right? And so there is a time where you should avoid nonsense, and you shouldn't participate in a nonsense party. You don't even want to be. You're going to get invited to it. Don't go. It's a bad time. I promise, right?
So there's still a couple comments that happened about the rehydration. Bertrand said, I may or may not have several IV start kits and IV bags still in date in my field hospital bag. And I thought that was a good time to mention that our stomp bag is $500 off right now.
Yeah.
And I was literally just telling Heath after going through that bag for our video and stuff that I wanted one for us.
Yeah, we're out of focus again.
I fixed it. We're gonna have it fixed by next time, guys. There's something going on with the camera. There's been a lot of, we've learned things, we've made intros, all the cool stuff. Give us like a couple more weeks and this will be so seamless. It'll be amazing. Right. But anyways, the stomp is $500 off.
Yeah.
And literally the new bag, I love it. I love all the compartments. We had somebody comment on the video. They work in the medical field and they actually run drills on their bags because they're color coded. They run drills on, okay, what's in the red bag?
Yep. 100%.
You should remember.
You should be training with your gear, right? And so there is IV capability inside that bag. There's not fluids. There's a bunch of different ways that you can go seeking out fluids for your pets.
Oh, we have a pet.
We have a pet
or two.
We have canine fluids that are available. So you can do some research into that. So it is $500 off for the Stomp right now. That would get you entered into the essential giveaway. We did a video on the Stomp bag, breaking it all down, the new 2.5, the new bag, and how we laid it out. Go check it out if you're considering it. It's a great kit for the family. It's a great resource for your HSA, your FSA, so that way you're using that money that you set aside. And this bag is much more transportable on your back. It's not as encumbersome as previous bags have been, as well as it's more modular, it's quicker access, it's better laid out. It's what we do here at Refuge. We improve and we iterate, right? We never want to be stagnant. Stagnancy equals death. Life is an upwards escalator. If you're not going, or a downwards escalator, if you're not going up, then you're automatically moving down. And so that's how we handle it there. I definitely recommend that you guys take a gander at the Stomp bag. Something that was just said to me here is we have a couple of spots left in the July class. If you guys are local, and you're really trying to get to class and maybe you need a little bit of help, maybe you need somebody to sponsor you or sponsor a portion of it to go to the July class, go ahead and reach out to the admin at Refuge Medical email. We'll see about getting you a partial sponsorship from somebody else. We've had people reach out in the past, try to sponsor individuals to take classes. So if that's something that you're interested in and you're local and you're trying and you're like, man, I just can't swing the $500 right now, but I could do $300 or something like that, reach out. We'll see if we can't get you a partial sponsorship and help you out with those spots in July. The July class is a Refuge Responder, and so the Refuge Responder is a full-day course. It's basically a mini essential responder. There is some scenario, there is some mud, there is some cool stuff. but it also is very much drinking through a fire hose. You get a full understanding of the Stop the Bleed protocols and the Marchi algorithm. So gives you good information at a really, really affordable price, as well as you have access to a multitude of cadre and then a bunch of different role players. And so I know versus some Stop the Bleed classes that are on the market right now, we're priced higher, but that's because we give you scenarios with a bunch of different role players, and we want to pay those role players. We don't want to ask them to do stuff for free because that would be lame. So definitely. Can you use HSA for training? Unfortunately, you cannot. And I didn't make those rules, but I got to abide by them. Otherwise, they're going to come and put me in an orange jumpsuit. Do you guys need skilled, experienced volunteers to help with the event? Stryker, why don't you text me? Because I absolutely would love to have you maybe come out and help with the September course if you weren't planning on taking it. I know you're a training guy yourself, and so I don't know if you were trying to run your pano nods during that training event, but I know that, yeah, I'm pretty sure Stryker's got some panos. And if you do need night vision, I was talking to Cody yesterday. He has helped out, I think maybe 10 or 15 different people inside of Refuge Nation to get access to really affordable night vision. Most affordable set so far that I've heard about going out was like $1,800, and it was good nods. And so he's got a lot of different options, a lot of different housings, stuff that's made in the U.S., stuff that wasn't made in the U.S., stuff that's new, brand new, stuff that's a little bit older gen, and he's really honest. So reach out to him over at Nightfall Optics. Continuing on, we're moving over to the domestic violence section. Guys, these are the reasons that we want to have a first aid kit. I'm going to start this section by saying I don't like these stories.
They're the ones I avoid.
I don't like these stories, and I don't want to share them with you, but I think it's important that we all be aware of them because holy smokes can bad stuff happen. Really. All right.
You know what? Why don't you just tilt your hat up a little bit? Because I know, let's just
Better?
see. Yeah.
All right. So this is coming to you from USA Today. I've seen this actually now on multiple different platforms, and I've watched the video as well. A California man has been arrested after police say he shot at random cars and killed a father of 4. A California man is facing multiple charges after authorities say he shot at passing vehicles, killing one person and injuring others. The shooting happened in San Jacinto, about 90 miles southeast of Los Angeles. Julio Cesar Rodarte, 39, has been arrested and booked into the Larry Smith Correctional Facility for murder and 10 counts of attempted murder, the Riverdale County Sheriff's Office said in a news release. Rodarte's lawyer did not immediately respond to requests for comments. The shooting happened around Monday morning. Someone called deputies from the San Jacinto Sheriff's Station around 7:05 a.m. that day and said a male was shooting at passing vehicles. The shooter hit multiple vehicles and 2 people. The gunshot victims were taken to a hospital where 42-year-old Victor Hugo Leon was pronounced dead. Deputies secured the area, and investigators from the San Jacinto Sheriff's Station Central Homicide Unit and the Sheriff's Coroner's Bureau responded to the scene. Since then, the Central Homicide Unit has led the investigation, which is ongoing. Leon, the victim, who died, was a father of 4 and was married for 13 years. He had just bought a home with his wife 2 years ago. His wife, Griselda Zapita, said he was very lovable. He leaves us very, very broken. He had that mean face, but he was such a sweetheart, always doing what was best for his family. She gave the outline insight as to what happened that morning, adding that her husband worked an overnight shift at a warehouse and typically got home in the morning. She woke up Monday and realized he wasn't home. Zapita called her sister, who worked with her husband, and her sister told her that he had already left an hour ago. More time kept passing by. I just had a feeling that something bad had happened, and him not calling me back after 40 minutes, I knew something was bad. I reported him missing. I went to every hospital hoping that they would tell me he was there. Loved ones set up a GoFundMe in Leon's honor to help with the burial expenses. He was only minutes away from his house when this tragedy occurred. Victor was an amazing father, an amazing husband, and a friend. He leaves behind 3 sons, 1 daughter, and his loving wife. Victor's smile and sense of humor will be truly missed. He leaves a hole in the hearts of us who knew him. The shooting was captured on surveillance footage. According to KTLA, it shows the suspect randomly shooting at vehicles. Witnesses told KTLA that the suspect eventually took his shoes and his clothes off. Authorities said they are not looking for other suspects. They asked that anyone with information contact the Central Homicide Unit and the San Jacinto Station. You can look up the video of this happening, the surveillance footage. It is unbelievable to watch. There's no discrimination. There is no reason. There is no rhyme that makes sense as to what happens. This man pulls a gun out from his waistband. Cars are driving down on the street, and he just starts shooting. He drops a magazine. He throws the magazine. He takes another magazine out of his pocket, puts the magazine in, loads it again, and just starts shooting again. It doesn't say how many shots were fired here. I would guess probably over 50. This was a Monday morning. This wasn't being in a bad part of town. This was driving home. They weren't mugged. They weren't stopped. There was no aggressive behavior that any of these people who got their vehicle shot or the two people who were shot themselves did to antagonize this or even try to prevent it. I tell you this because there's a reason we keep tourniquets on our visors. There's a reason that we keep med kits on our headrests. People are acting out of their minds as of late, and it is only intensifying. And we, as responsible, prepared citizens and people with love and care in our hearts, have to be able to respond and be a force for good. Even if it's not you who gets hurt, if you witness somebody getting hurt, imagine having the ability to tourniquet that wound, to put a chest seal on, whatever it may be. If somebody were to have been more prepared, maybe this tragic loss wouldn't happen. If you guys want to go to their GoFundMe, we can link it down below. And once again, his name, Leon was his name. I'm trying to grab his last name so I don't butcher it. Victor Hugo Leon was his name. And we'll link his GoFundMe down below because you guys should help them out. Because this is just a family. This is just a regular family. He was working his job, going home to his kids on a Monday morning. And so it's just, we need to be more alert. We need to be more prepared. We need to have our tools on us. Yes, in our vehicle is good, but if we leave our vehicle, our tools should be on us as well. What were you going to say, Lauren?
Just the fact, I'm not, obviously bad things happen everywhere, right? And I'm sure, reacting in the moment, it's just hard to believe that, when you watch the video, how long he's sitting there shooting at these cars, and that no one stopped and got out and shot him. The fact that nobody
in that area has guns.
I know.
It's so hard to carry a gun.
Exactly. Because I think if you tried that in a southern state, that would have been.
If you started on 59 where the store is, if you started shooting into traffic,
it would take all of 30 seconds.
Yeah, somebody's responding in under a minute for sure. I would say. One of the businesses, workers at the gas stations, people driving by.
It's commonplace in the South to be carrying. It's not, there's been times we've had people be like, why are you carrying a gun? Why are you not?
Yeah, we're blurry again. Oh, there we go.
We're going to get it figured out. There's some
maybe if I do this, maybe if I go backwards, that'll help.
A little square just went around your face.
Nice. It picked up my face now. All right. So guys, carry your gear on you. There's a reason that we make this stuff. There's a reason we tell you to carry it on you. Ankle kit's a great option. A BPK basic in the car costs $70, right? With your shipping, I'm pretty sure it's like $70. And you can put that in your glove box and you're that much more prepared. You want a cool kit, grab a Bear Fact, grab Bear Min. Or don't shop with us and shop somewhere else and get reputable medical supplies to carry on you. This isn't a sales pitch for us. I don't care if you go to one of our competitors' brands and grab a good first aid kit. Have a first aid kit on you. You need one. You really do.
Make sure it is good because we just got sent.
Yeah, I just got some China goods in and we have video. It's going to drop here soon. Boo.
The difference between the chest seal alone, it was not non-sticky tape. With the Halo, you're gonna whack someone's chest with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So JW says an armed society is a polite society, and that is typically and statistically true. Everybody chills out if everyone's got a sword, right? So that's definitely interesting. So moving on to our next story inside of the domestic category here. I hate this story. I hate it. I do. It sucks. But I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about it. And so we're going to talk about it. We're going to have a conversation. And it sucks. A 3-year-old was fatally stabbed. Her mother was injured in a random attack outside of an Ohio grocery store. So whoever just commented, try this stuff in Ohio, they did. So your zip code's not safe. Our zip code's not safe. It doesn't matter. A 3-year-old child was fatally stabbed, and his mother was injured in what police say was a random attack outside a grocery store in Ohio. The stabbings occurred around 3 p.m. on a Monday in a parking lot of a Giant Eagle in North Olmsted, about 20 miles southwest of Cleveland. The suspect, Bianca Ellis, 32 of Cleveland, obtained a butcher knife of some type or some type of kitchen knife at a Volunteers of America thrift store and then walked to the Giant Eagle, Sergeant Matt Beck, a North Olmsted police detective, said in a news conference. Video footage inside the grocery store, which you can watch, you can look up online. There are learning takeaways from that. Video footage inside the grocery store shows the moment Ellis saw Margaret Wood and her son and followed them into the parking lot. Somewhere near the vehicle, Miss Ellis then attacked the two of them. Authorities performed life-saving measures on the mother and child, but the 3-year-old died of his injuries. Beck said the boy, who was in front seat of the shopping cart, was stabbed in his face and back and Wood in her shoulder. It's not clear how Ellis obtained the knife or whether she paid for it, Beck told reporters. A motive in the stabbings is also unclear. Beck said there was no altercation inside the grocery store or there are no signs before the attack. The video showed that they just passed each other. Miss Ellis then turned, looked around, looked at her, and followed her out the door. He said it appeared to have been a random attack and that after speaking to the mother, there seemed to be no connection between them. Ellis was arrested on a charge of aggravated murder. She was carrying a knife when she was taken into custody, Beck said. Mayor Nicole Daly Jones said she is deeply saddened by what happened. Our hearts go out to the victims on what happens to be a random act of violence. North Olmsted police previously arrested Ellis on an allegation of petty theft out of a Walmart. She was also arrested following a nonviolent crime in Florida, Beck said. He said there was nothing in her past to suggest that she has any violent tendencies. It's not clear if she has attained an attorney yet.
Just as a parent, it's like...
This is a woman with one child, and I've watched the footage of this. It is so random. Like, there's not... The only way that this woman would have noticed is if she was being hyper vigilant in her situational awareness.
And you
now, I will say,
so scary. Like,
here's something that's interesting. This woman, the attacker, is walking through this grocery store, and she is openly carrying the knife.
Okay, that right there, and this is not against that mom, because there's no way she, like, there's nothing.
If you don't know, you don't know.
Comma. When you, maybe because of the industry that I work in and because I'm around this stuff all the time, I'm around the training all the time, Pastor Joe is super on point about teaching this. I'm constantly, everybody's a threat.
Yep.
Everywhere I go, everybody's a threat.
Yep.
I don't look approachable. I look like a B word, unless it's like I'm looking right at somebody and I'm being kind and smiling. But a lot of times I have resting bitch face and I am looking at everybody all the time. And you wouldn't believe how many sketchy people and how many people are actually following you when you're paying attention. The fact that she was carrying a knife openly, oh, God.
That is grounds to create space, prepare for a draw.
Yep. 100%.
And maybe even give verbal commands.
Drop the, I can't say that word. Drop the knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to think, I mean, anything inside 21 feet.
Yeah, they're going to close that gap.
That's from me to you right now.
Yep, yeah. Statistically, the best operators in the world can't draw and put an accurate shot on in under 21 feet. Yep. And I forget what there was a channel that did a big study on that. And it was a really interesting video. Maybe UF Pro. Guys, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, authorities, and dark, wicked rulers in spiritual places. And we got to understand something here. Demons are real. You stab a 3-year-old in the face, that's demonic. That's satanic. That's abhorrent. And at some point, guys, I feel like a broken record. At some point, when? At what cost are people going to wake up and see that systems around them are deteriorating past a point of return? This is abnormal behavior. This is abnormal behavior for third world countries, let alone for a civilized first world country such as the United States of America. My heart goes out to that family. I have a 3-year-old. But you know what? My wife doesn't go to the grocery store by herself. I make it a point. We decided it almost a year ago. It's got to be a pretty serious thing for her to go to the grocery store by herself. And if she does, she goes to the one that's close. She doesn't go to the one in town.
She and I both had an issue separately at the same store.
Yep.
And I don't think I told you this, but it happened again. And I had to have Heath come in.
Yep.
I had to walk the aisles and lay eyes on. And then
Was that the second time in the same store?
that was the second time in the same store.
Yeah.
Twice
My
over.
sister.
They are trafficking or trying to traffic out of that store.
Really?
Yeah.
My sister, this was in a really nice suburb of Chicago. Really nice. This isn't in the city. It's a very nice, high income area. All the picket fences, $1 million homes, went to an Aldi. While she was in the Aldi, she was accosted, attacked, pushed up against the aisle, and a guy took a jug of milk, dumped it on her head, and started screaming obscenities that weren't English. And then ran away.
What is it about Aldi?
People are acting insane. And dude, listen. We got to understand, Messiah's people and Messiah's own government killed him. There was a lot of times where Messiah had to vanish into nowhere, or he left because they wanted to kill him, or he didn't go there because they sought to kill him. We have to be aware, like I just said previously, the prudent man seeth evil and hide himself, wise as serpents, gentle as doves. Right? Meekness, the ability of carrying a sword, knowing how to use it, but knowing when to keep it sheathed. Remember, David used his sword, right? So, those of you who do not have a sword should sell your cloak and buy one. The implication of that is that you would know how to use the sword, right? Because there's no way that you should... He says, do not store up treasures where they can gather rust and dust, and thieves can break in and steal it. So you're not going to have a sword and set it in the house and leave it there to gather rust and dust. No, you're going to have a sword on your person that you know how to use, right? Both as a tool and a self-defense tool. And guys, this is something that you got to onboard. Because even, I hope that 3-year-old felt no pain. I hope that 3-year-old, that Messiah was with that boy immediately. Just boom, peace and perfect peace. But you guys still understand that mom had to fight for her life. She stabbed in the back.
And now she has to live with
that. Right? I'm not joking when I say you got to carry this stuff on you. It's not, this is not a sales pitch. This is reality. I have my stuff on me right now, and I'm inside of a building that is filled with stuff. I'm not traveling the short distance from my home to my workplace without gear, right? Without some sort of kit. My wife, same exact protocol. It doesn't matter. If we're in a side-by-side, we've got stuff on us because accidents happen, malicious intent happens, and evil happens. And we need to be prepared for that. That's part of the job. I hate this story. If you can stomach it, I recommend that you look up both of those videos. The videos of the man in California and the videos of the woman in Ohio. And the absolute wickedness. Simply because you should see how absolutely unassuming it looks. It's not like the movies. There's not some big grandstand. There's not some big speech. It just happens like that. People flip. They go nuts.
Well, that's something that when I took PJ's self-defense class, he was saying there's this moment where you can get stuck in, is this really happening?
Yep.
It's like this freeze moment that you have, and you cannot let yourself get stuck in the freeze.
It doesn't matter.
Just OODA loop.
Decision point,
Yeah,
right? We call it, inside of SWAT, we call it, there's a decision point in every single operation where it's like, this is either going to happen or it's not going to happen. And we got to come to that decision point, and you have to make that decision. Otherwise, that decision is going to be made for you, right? And what you don't want to do is be acted upon. Like being acted upon, especially within 21 feet, and somebody has a knife, they're going to act upon you, you're going to get stabbed. High probability. So we got to be aware of that, right? And we have to be cautious. So I'm going to look at some of the comments here and see what we got. Oh yeah, blank this story and the chick who is grinning and giggling in court. Yeah, I don't know if they have the chair in Ohio, but you know, millstone. Those of you who cause the least of one of these to stumble, it's better that you have a millstone tied around your neck and you're cast into the sea. And you got to understand that, like, not my words. I'm write that book, right? My husband asks why I don't go out with my son alone anymore. Why? We would love to, but I don't want to go shopping by myself. So sad. Yeah. I hate that too. I mean, my wife, you know, she wants to take the kids to the park. She wants to do this. She wants to do that. And I love it, you know. Also, like, dude, they have such an intrinsic value. And, like, why would I put them in a position to where I can't steward them and protect them? It's my job, right? As a husband, as a leader, it's my job to protect them, steward them. Right? And so I'm not going to put them in a position where they could be harmed. It just doesn't make sense.
I feel safer going to the store by myself than taking my kids with
Oh,
me.
100%.
Like,
I hate taking the kids in the store. I do. Because there's so many variables. There's so many people. There's often times that, like, my wife and I will go shopping together, and if we just got to grab something from a store really quick, diapers or wipes, I'm like, you stay here with the kids. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to just run and grab it really quick. That way, it's not even the taking the kids out of the car seat. It's not any of that.
That's a whole nother story.
That's a different thing.
When you have littles and you're having to deal with that period of, you know, when mine are all bigger now.
Right.
So, like, it's like everybody get in on the same side.
Right.
While I am standing here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But we got car seats. You know, I got a young child who's 3 years old, and she hates being in the cart. She wants to walk because she wants to be independent. She wants to grow up, which is awesome. But I'm like, dude, I want you in that basket, so that way if I got to move all of these valuable things, I can move all these valuable things in one push. So I
do grocery pickup, everybody.
I teach a self-defense course, and something I talk about often is like active planning and active training. Like if you go to a grocery store constantly, you should know where all the exits are. You should know where your points of cover and concealment are. And this isn't something that has to be like tactical or fear-based or anything like that. Like this is just basic, like anywhere you're going, you should be, that OODA loop should be going, your situational awareness should be going. And so if something bad happens, where do I go? If something bad happens, who has the kids? If something bad happens, how do we move? Do we move? All these things. And so asking yourself these questions, not to be living in a fear-based world, but in a preparedness sense. Like, why do I put rice in buckets? Not because I want to eat rice in buckets, but because, like, dude, I'll be super pumped to have rice in buckets if all of a sudden I can't go to the store, right? So food for thought in that. That's why they train to deflect while increasing your distance in order to engage with lethal force. Yep, absolutely, Chicken Farmer Plus.
A lot of people don't even know the difference between cover and concealment.
Yeah, so... Yeah, cover is something that can block bullets. Concealment is something that can hide you, but won't block bullets. This table right here, this is concealment. This isn't cover. That brick wall right there is cover and concealment, right? And so understanding that difference is like, yeah, you can get behind the shelf at Aldi, but that's not cover. Like, that's concealment. Like, I promise that thin metal and those cereal boxes are not stopping a majority of different cartridges if there was a shooting. And so,
like in the movies,
yeah, it's not the movies,
in a car
guys.
and it gets shot up and somehow they're still alive.
Yeah. Vehicles are the reason that we created side plates. okay? Because vehicles are great at getting shot through, and they suck at deflecting bullets. There's like 2 places inside of a vehicle that can actually offer cover. It's the engine block and the axles, and depending on the size of the vehicle, sometimes the tires and the hubs, like if you're in a semi or something like that. But, dude, you don't, how do you avoid this? Don't be where the bad stuff happens, and mitigate and manage the time that you are exposed, in my opinion. Yes.
This would be a great time for you to take a moment to read this, but Bertrand mentioned that it is Mental Men's Health Month. Could you please read The Last Life Saved?
Yeah, 100%.
It literally touches on mental health, and it's a great testament to this guy literally saved himself.
So, I'm writing this to you so that you can use this as an opportunity to remind others that the life you save may be your own, and that you need to know addicts. Sorry, gets me emotional. Save may be your own, and to those who know addicts, they may need a bleeding control kit as well. Feel free to use anything I say however you choose. Thankfully, I had watched Bear Nation and ordered several IFAKs and bleeding control kits for hiking and also ride off-road motorcycles. I have been saving to go to your class in Waco as I live in California. I was previously a meth user. Got clean for about 10 years. Slowly started drinking beer and then smoking weed again. Never had an issue with those 2 items. I met a guy and ended up doing some coke. Over the next few weeks, it was on again. All the demons from before came back after not sleeping for a few days. I can't tell you enough the realism of the voices and how they want you to harm yourself. I ended up with a new razor blade and cut through my arm about 14-inch elbow to wrist. I hopped on my KTM and was going to ride until I passed out. Neighbors saw me struggling. Bleeding convinced me to sit down for a second and think. I ended up putting on the tourniquet myself from my bleeding control kit and used the gauze and wrapping my arm. A friend drove me to the ER. 6 hours later, and 14 inches worth of stitches, I'm still here. If I hadn't had the bleeding control kit with the tourniquet, I may not have been. Out of 3 of my neighbors, no one knew what to do. One guy tried his belt as a tourniquet and it didn't work at all. I practiced the tourniquet on myself. Bear, sets and reps. I listened to Bear talk about his addiction and crying in a rainstorm in the truck over the coke. Not sure what I'm missing, but I haven't been that lucky to hear a calling. Anyway, I thought this may be useful if you want to use the story on the channel or just remind addicts not to be stupid and to ask for help because the life you save may be your own. Also a veteran, although this has no bearing on my story, outside don't be arrogant and use the VA for help, whatever you're going through. Praise Yah. It is really hard right now, especially for men that are trying to lead a house, that are trying to live a biblical lifestyle, that are trying to not go into debt, that are trying to not become slaves, that are trying to work in righteous action, that are trying to not be vindictive, not be thieving, not be greedy. It gets exhausting. Be sober and alert. For your enemy, the devil, is like a roaming lion waiting for somebody to devour. Devour. Not maim, not injure, not set back. Devour. Right now, we have to be alert. I understand exactly how hard it is. I really do. The trials, the testings, they don't pass me up just because I talk on this camera to you. I promise they look at me all the same. My brothers and my sisters here that are in this room, they all feel it. We all feel the pressure. Endurance. Endure. Do not grow weary in the doing of good. Don't. Continue on. If you are struggling in your own head, if you have voices telling you to do things to yourself, if you have your own voice telling you to do things to yourself, if you're just down, if you're just sad, call. Call someone. Call
Drop
me.
those numbers.
Call Heath. Leave a comment on our Instagram. Message us on whatever. Call the store. Hit the chat. Call your neighbor. Call your friend. Call a pastor. Call a priest. Call someone.
Don't hesitate.
Don't be like, no, I don't want to. Don't hesitate. Stop. Stop. In your weakness, His strength is made manifest, right? And so what this could be is this could be the Father using your weakness as a moment to show the strength inside of His love. Don't deprive Yeshua the movement. Don't deprive the Spirit that is guiding us to bear with one another in love, to endure with one another, right? And it doesn't matter if you're a stranger. It doesn't matter if you're some dude. What matters is are we walking with love, right? Because the greatest of these is love, right?
Hey, Stephen McDougald said, how can I help sponsor that guy so he can make it to the course?
Stephen, email us.
Yeah.
Email us. We'll try to figure that out. We don't have a class in Waco, but we'll try to figure that out. The 988 number is the National Suicide Hotline. Veteran Crisis Hotline is up there right now, as well as the crisis text line is up there. Guys, we are all in this together, whether we want to be or not. This is the day for which you have been made. The Father didn't mess up and put you in the wrong time frame. The Father didn't mess up and be like, oh, he was supposed to be here during the 40s. Dang it. No. You were here for this pressure, for these tests, for these moments to bring honor and glory to Him. That's just a fact of the matter, Jack. It just is what it is. I praise you. I praise you, Yeshua, that you would answer prayer, that a life would be saved unto Him. And that guy is still here. And now I hope that you hear that witness, and I hope you hear that testimony, and you use that as fuel, and boast in that. Boast in what the Messiah is doing, in random people who are struggling, fighting demons. He wasn't forsaken, and you are not forsaken either, right? Don't forget that. Don't forget that. We got a couple more news stories, and then we're going to finish up here. I know that we run live on the Refuge Reports, but that's because we're talking about a lot of good stuff. Scuba, he held back some of his best children to be here during these times. Yes, I agree.
Texas T, we are so excited to see you here.
Dude, praise Yah. Everybody, Texas T, we've been praying for you, bro. We were praying for you yesterday. I was texting Hunter. You let me know what you need, bro. You let me know what you need. Probably some rest is what you need. All right. So the world's going to hell in a handbasket. We talked about that. 15% off, code LIVE for the black multicam kits. 15% off right now for the bare minimum and the bare FAC. It's a great car kit, right? For when you're driving through California and bad dudes do bad stuff. We talked about the sponsorship for the July class. Guys, we got a couple of spots left in the Essential Responder and the Night Responder course. You got to get on it. You got to get on it. Yeah. So, continuing on, this is our global conflict section, right? Fired OpenAI researcher warns of urgent CCP espionage threat. Leopold Arschbrenner issues a warning about the CCP exploiting AI. The preservation of the free world against authoritarian states is on the line. A researcher who was fired by OpenAI has predicted that human-like general intelligence, AGI, could and should be achieved by 2027 and sounded the alarm on the threat of Chinese espionage in the field. If and when the CCP wakes up to AGI, we should expect extraordinary efforts on the part of the CCP to complete. And I think there's a pretty clear path for China to be in the game to outbuild the U.S. and steal their algorithms. Mr. Oshbrenner argued that without stringent security measures, the CCP will exfiltrate key AGI breakthroughs in the next few years. It will be the national security establishment's single greatest regret before the decade is out, he wrote, warning that the preservation of the free world against the authoritarian states is on the line. He advocates more robust authority for AI model weights, the numerical values reflecting the strength of connections between artificial neurons, and, in particular, algorithmic secrets, an area where he perceives dire shortcomings in the status quo. I think failing to protect algorithmic secrets is probably the most likely way in which China is able to stay competitive in the AGI race. It's hard to overstate how bad algorithmic secret security is right now. Mr. Ashbrenner also argues that the AGI could give rise to superintelligence in little more than half a decade by automating AI research itself. Titled Situational Awareness, The Decade Ahead, Mr. Ashbrenner's series has elicited a range of responses in the tech world. Computer scientist Scott Aronson described it as one of the most extraordinary documents I've ever read, while software engineer Grady Booch wrote on X that many elements of it are profoundly, embarrassingly, staggeringly wrong. So he's got contention. It's well past time that we regulate the field, Jason Lowry Green of the Center of AI Policy wrote in an opinion article lauding Mr. Ashbrenner's publication. On X, Jason Colborn of the Campaign for AI Safety responded to the reference of a U.S.-China AI race by advocating a global non-proliferation treaty starting with a bilateral agreement between the U.S. and the CCP. In recent weeks, AI researchers from Google and DeepMind issued a letter cautioning that AI technology presents serious risks up to and including the possibility of human extinction.
Has anybody ever seen the movie? It's called The Terminator. I didn't see that till I was an adult. I had no idea it was going to be so violent. But like, that's pretty much.
It's literally exactly
Starlink,
Skynet. Skynet, Starlink, potatoes, potatoes.
Isn't it called Skynet?
It is called Skynet.
Why would you, it's like you're saying, you know what? Let's make it happen.
It's Starlink.
Okay.
Elon's a Starlink. Terminator's a Skynet.
Okay, Starlink, potato.
Hey, come on.
I mean, you guys, you probably didn't hear this, but my daughter saw the Skynet / Starlink trail thing in the sky one night, and like stood up, like it freaked Michaela out so bad, and she goes, "Mom, what's that?" She thought the aliens were coming. She was like, "This is it. We're done."
Now we'll know. All right, so Ashbrenner says OpenAI's HR called his CCP warnings racist. Mr. Ashbrenner released situational awareness a few months after his controversial departure from OpenAI, where he worked on the super alignment team. The information reported in April that Mr. Ashbrenner and another OpenAI employee were terminated after allegedly leaking information. In a June 4th interview with Dwarsh Patel, Mr. Ashbrenner responded to a question about the article. He said the alleged leak was the timeline to AGI in a security document he gave to 3 researchers unaffiliated with OpenAI. For context, it was totally normal at OpenAI at the time to share safety ideas with external researchers for feedback, he said. But Mr. Ashbrenner links his termination to the concerns that were raised about the Chinese intellectual property theft. He told Mr. Patel he was formally reprimanded by OpenAI's Human Resources Department after he drafted a security memo that mentioned the CCP threat and shared it with the board of OpenAI. The HR person told me it was racist to worry about CCP espionage. He said he added that he was later informed he was fired and not merely warned as a result of that memo. The Epoch Times has reached out to OpenAI for comment on the allegations from Mr. Ashbrenner. 2 co-leaders of the super alignment team, Elias Svetker and Jane Leike, left OpenAI in mid-May. Over the past years, safety culture and processes have taken a backseat to shiny products. We are long overdue in getting incredibly serious about the implication of AGI. We must prioritize preparing for them as best we can, he added. Mr. Ashbrenner, a German-born researcher who graduated as valedictorian from Columbia University at age 19, dedicated his situational awareness series to Mr. Svetsker, a Russian-born Israeli-Canadian computer scientist.
Russian-born Israeli-Canadian. Sorry. Just...
you got a little bit of everybody in there.
Whoa.
So, valedictorian, Columbia University, graduated 19. Not that smart of a guy. warning
I was
that
just 19 for me was
not that.
not my best year.
Warning about the espionage threat from the CCP when it comes to exploiting AI. Yeah, I think this is a big red flag. A lot of people have been talking about this.
They've never not wanted good things for us. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, China's always been on our side.
Always.
China, they just live on our side. All right. Life is but a dream. That's what Dano said in the comment section. Guys, we're bringing this up because this has geopolitical and global effects, right? And this is all something that we should be tracking of. We should be wise as serpents, right? And so that was based on a book of series of books. It was The Matrix was part of it, as well as another book that I don't recall. Justin Ridlin, I believe, referring to the Terminator. My wife's law firm is currently defending a Chinese national that was somehow issued a security clearance in the United States and was sending classified documents to family, but has not been arrested. Nice. So cool.
Nothing will happen.
There's nothing's going on. The U.S. Navy did not catch multiple spies that had enlisted inside of the Navy that were taking actual information on both naval vessels and submarines and sending them to China. That wasn't happening. That didn't happen. That's fine.
Did you hear that? We were saying it's not happening. So just
it's not.
Don't flag us because we're saying false.
It's not. It's totally not happening.
We're fact checkers.
We're pretty much Snopes.
It's not happening.
It's not happening. You guys get it. These guys know what's up. All right. China-linked cyber campaign infiltrated dozens of Western governments. Report. The Netherlands National Cybersecurity Center said that the Chinese cyber campaign is far larger than they previously thought. A China-linked cyber campaign that infiltrated a Dutch defense network last year is much larger than previously thought and has infiltrated tens of thousands of government and defense systems in Western nations, according to the Dutch government. The campaign, dubbed Coat Hanger, has been linked to Communist China, and it exploited a zero-day vulnerability in the FortiGate firewall system used by the Netherlands and other nations with many government networks. Zero-day vulnerabilities exist when a software update is first deployed. Dutch intelligence original report released in February said that the damage from the breach was limited because of network segmentation, which separates an affected system from the nation's wider defense network. The Netherlands National Cybersecurity Center announced on June 10th, however, that the Chinese cyber campaign is far larger than they previously thought. NCSC said that the Coat Hanger compromised 20,000 systems across dozens of Western governments, international organizations, and a large number of companies within the defense industry. Moreover, the statement said the attackers used the intrusion to install malware on some of those compromised targets to guarantee continued access to those systems. The malware has still not been cut off. This gave the state actor permanent access to the systems, the statement reads. Even if a victim installs FortiGate security updates, the state actor continues to have this access. It is not known how many victims are actually malware installed. The Dutch intelligence services and the NCSC consider it likely that the state-owned actor could potentially expand its access to hundreds of victims worldwide and has been able to carry out additional actions such as stealing their data, which doesn't seem like a big deal because everybody steals data. But if you're stealing data from a literal defense contractor or a defense manufacturer, that's a very big deal when we're trying to stay ahead of them in weapons technology, right? Likewise, the Dutch system said that it is likely said that the state actor still has access to systems of a significant number of victims at the moment, and that organizations should take measures to mitigate the possible fallout from that access. The Netherlands' original report, jointly published by the Dutch Military Intelligence and Security Service and the General Intelligence and Security Service, didn't clarify what information the hackers were trying to obtain. Of course not. The scope of the latest discovery suggests that the campaign sought to gain persistent access to the defense industries of Western nations. However, it remains unclear whether all the victims were in NATO nations or shared some other connection. The Dutch statement said that, like many hackers, the Coat Hanger campaign targeted edge devices like firewalls, VPN servers, routers, and email servers that connect the system to the wider network. Because zero-day vulnerabilities are hard to anticipate, the statement said, the government encouraged the adoption of an assume breach principle. This means that an initial breach should be assumed It's right.
No, we're
over
good.
here.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's
Did it
charging
turn
and
on?
it's on. Hello, everybody. We're back.
Can you hear me? Hello, Mom, Dad.
Do you still need to do
5 by 5?
Probably.
No, just
So much for that First Amendment.
it's
Oh.
now picking it back up.
Oh my gosh.
The hero?
Hello?
Oh no, now I'm going blind.
Can you hear me? We're being hacked. We're talking about the hacking. We're back. 5 by 5. We're back. We're back. Take that. China is using a DJI mic produced in China. This is what you get.
We don't think they can hack our mic, or can they?
That could have been exactly what just happened. They could have just shut us down.
don't
How
know
deep does the
how
conspiracy go? It goes very
wasn't
deep.
Charging.
It goes very, very deep. Free Bob's voice. Thanks, Eternal Light. I agree. All right, guys, we got one more story, and I know a lot of people have already picked up on this. We'll finish this up. The Russian nuclear sub, right? Frigate with long-range land missiles are operating off of the East Coast, as well as we have a Russian attack squadron or fleet that is moving towards the Caribbean right now. So the Pentagon, a nuclear Russian submarine carrying a guided missiles with a range of more than 1,000 nautical miles, is operating off the East Coast as part of a Russian missile drills in the Atlantic. Kazan, a Yasin M-class guided missile submarine, is part of a naval action group the Russian Ministry of Defense deployed to the Atlantic. The group is bound for the Caribbean as part of military drills ordered by the Kremlin against the backdrop of the war in Ukraine, according to the MOD. On Tuesday, Kazan and the advanced guided missile frigate Admiral Groshkov tested anti-ship missiles in the Atlantic at targets with a range of more than 350 miles before resuming its transit to a previously scheduled port visit in Havana on Wednesday, Cuba. The Russia MOD said in a statement, "Ship spotters are tracking the Russian action group off the coast. The group was operating just east of the Florida Keys as of Tuesday afternoon and is still under surveillance by at least 3 U.S.-guided missile destroyers and a P-8A Poseidon anti-submarine aircraft, the Sub Hunter." According to a public flight and ship tracking data, a Navy spokesperson referred USNI News to the Office of the Secretary of Defense when asked about the U.S. warships. A Pentagon spokesperson would not confirm the details, but provided a Monday statement about the Russian exercises. Russia will conduct heightened naval and air activity near the United States. These actions will likely culminate in a global Russian naval exercise this fall. We are expecting that Russia will temporarily send combat naval vessels to the Caribbean region, and that these ships will likely conduct port calls in Cuba and possibly Venezuela. There may also be some aircraft deployments or flights in the region. Russia's deployments are part of a routine naval activity, and we are not concerned by Russia's deployments, which pose no direct threat to the United States, I'm sure. While Russian ships operating in the Caribbean is not new, the submarine and the frigate are among the most advanced Russian warships, and their presence is the largest visit of Russian Navy ships to the region in years. For example, last year, the training ship Perikop sailed to Havana. The modern Kazan and Gorshkov both field a variety of anti-ship and land attack weapons. While it's unclear what weapons the two ships used during the Tuesday test fire, they both can field the 1,000-mile range 3M54 Caliber NK land attack cruise missile, the P-800 Onyx anti-ship missile, and the 3M22 Zircon hypersonic anti-ship cruise missile. According to the report in Russia, Kazan could field up to 32 P-800s, 40 calibers, and an unknown number of Zircons. The caliber modeled on the U.S. Tomahawk land attack missile is a key weapon for the Yasan submarines. The silent operation and weapon loadout of the 13,800-ton submarines are reasons U.S. officials have used to describe the boats as some of the most capable in the world. For the Yasans, long-range strike missions appear to a primary task. This will likely necessitate a change in how NATO manages the anti-submarine warfare challenge in the high north, given that a strategy of barrier defense at the Greenland-Iceland-UK gap may actually do little to impact Russian submarines, which may have little need to traverse this barrier in order to achieve their operational ends. Last year, then Commander of U.S. Northern Command General Glenn Van Herk said that deployment of cruise missile submarines off the coast of the U.S. is increasing and is a growing concern for homeland defense. So we got the command saying it's of growing concern. We've got the Navy saying, don't be worried about this. It's totally normal. Everything's fine. The risk is absolutely increasing. Within the last year, Russia has also paced their Yasins in the Pacific. Now, not only in the Atlantic, but we also have them in the Pacific, and it's just a matter of time, probably a year, before that's a persistent threat 24 hours a day. That impact has reduced decision space for a national senior leader in a time of crisis. That quote happened last year. It's a year later. Ta-da! He was right. We've got homies coming in through the southern border. We got Russians on the east and southern coast and southeast coast in both subs and attack crafts, whatever their terminology was in Russia, I don't know. We got a bunch of good data right here for decision making. Remember that lives are still being saved. The people are still doing good things. The dead are raised. The lame are healed. Do not fall away on that because of account of him and everything that's happening right now. So continue on this mission. Continue on preaching the gospel, doing the good work, saving lives, witnessing to people, all these things. Guys, we have, I don't think we have any other announcements. Do we have any other announcements? We don't have any other announcements. Striker Cade, let's spring this trap. I'm good, bro, actually. I'm super good on that. I'll pass. I like peace and perfect peace. So with that, we'll let it go for probably another hour or so. The live code LIVE, gets you a 15% off code for the black multicam Bear Fac and the Bear Min. Grab that, throw it in the Vic. Or grab, if you're not in the point where you can grab that right now, grab BPK or an extra slick kit or something like that, and do that for the vehicle. So with that, we're going to hop off. I'll see all you homies for Bible study tonight.
Caleb House donor matching.
Caleb House donor matching. That's still going on, so you can do the donor matching things. You can go to calebhouse.org, and you can find out all that information about that. So with that, we love you. We love you. We love you. Thanks for stopping in. This has been the Refuge Report. I was supposed to stack the papers.